Chapter 391, Demonic Path Alliance Army. Seconds passed like days. Eventually, the cloud gradually settled down in the air. Feng Yuan finally had the break he needed to curse the original owner of this blessed land. Such an important point was not mentioned at all in the recipe. All because of him concentrating hard and reacting in time. Together with the help of Feng Tianyu, he was able to calm and stabilize the situation, slowly getting back his control, otherwise he would have failed. As time passed, a mystical aura slowly spread. The cloud completely digested the 300-year lifespan Gu, calming down and turning back to the scene of blood-field red wheat. But at this moment, the red wheat had turned blue-green, as if new crops were growing in spring, almost overcrowding. This was what the recipe described as 300 years as spring. That mysterious Gu immortal must have only developed the recipe but did not actually do it himself, otherwise, he would have mentioned it. Feng Yuan caught a break and thought hard. Next, I have to use the 500-year lifespan Gu, but no need to rush. He wiped the sweat off his forehead, calling the land spirit, Ba Gui, show me the image of the poisoned land. Immediately, smoke images appeared in the air, showing a picture. Long Qing Tian's corpse laid on the ground, as his surrounding sky and land were dyed a deep green color. This was Long Qing Tian's jade sky Gu poison. This Gu originated from the immemorial era. It had a strong poison that Feng Yuan would not dare to touch. At this moment, two Gu masters appeared in the image. They had rank 3 cultivation. This place is weird, why is it so green? Quickly, see, that corpse, it's Long Qing Tian. They entered this place and found Long Qing Tian's corpse by accident. Long Qing Tian is rank 4 peak stage, a famous demonic head. He was actually killed. Quickly go see, his corpse might have something good. The two were happily running towards Long Qing Tian's corpse. Driven by greed, they did not realize their bodies were infected by this green light. Courting death. Feng Yuan sneered. As expected, in less than 10 steps, their poison reacted and the two of them turned into green light, dissipating. The jade sky Gu poison has gotten very deep. This region is almost finished. It has completely rotted. The loophole it forms will be even greater than the one Xiao Mang created. Time was precious, every second was important, but Feng Yuan did not move regardless of how anxious he felt. After 5 minutes, with a boom, the blessed land shook and the hull vibrated. The second loophole tunnel was created. The land spirit sighed. This way, the blessed land's speed of destruction doubled. Continue refining Gu. Feng Yuan took out the 500-year lifespan Gu and threw it into the cloud. The cloud rumbled again, trying to break free of Feng Yuan's control. But Feng Yuan was mentally prepared. He was not caught unaware like last time, and restrained it completely. But quickly, he felt that there was nothing he could do. The cloud's change this time was not only giving off a slippery feeling, but also an arrogant brute force. Like a green snake that had evolved into a flood dragon, about to break free from Feng Yuan's control. Feng Tianyu quickly came to help. The two worked hard to suppress the cloud's transformation. The cloud rumbled many times, about to break free at times, but was eventually suppressed. 5 minutes later, the cloud became clear again, showing a blood field with golden wheat ready for a bountiful harvest. It was the 500 years as autumn scene. Thankfully, he only refined this Gu after the poison broke out. If not, when the second loophole formed and the hull shook, this Gu refinement would have been interrupted and would not have succeeded. Feng Yuan waited a while more, as the cloud slowly dispersed after maturing. From the water tank size, it shrunk into a new Gu, falling down. Feng Yuan held it. It was like a peanut shell, golden and having markings on the surface, that is, scarlet blood traces. The first false second aperture Gu could only survive for a week, it was unstable. As for this Gu, it could survive for 40 years. At this step, the real second aperture Gu had already formed, and was nurturing in the peanut shell. But if it was allowed to develop on its own, not just 1,000 years, but even if given then 1,000 years, it might not turn into the real product. Only by using a strong external force, to eliminate the false and make it real, turning from phantom to solid, can it attain a qualitative change, breaking free from mortality and become an immortal. And this external force is none other than the rank 6 divine travel Gu. Next, we have to use an immortal Gu to refine an immortal Gu. Fang Yuan took deep breaths, regulating his internal flow as he started the most important step of this entire refinement process. At this time, in the outside world, sounds of killing was overwhelming the mountain. This dog is mine. As long as you hand over your Gu worms, I will spare you your life. Kill all these egg men, these variant humans are actually occupying one spirit spring, what a waste of resources. All sorts of plundering and robbing were happening, as Gu masters killed till their eyes turned red, casualties increased greatly. Strange. Why have we not seen Lord Tai Mu Bai after so long? Where did our Wu clan Wu Shintong go? Tai clan and Wu clan Gu masters felt something amiss. Search, quickly go search. The heavenly powers restriction is very small now, we can use most of our Gu worms. The situation is a mess now, there is killing everywhere, as blood flow into a river, we need to find our clan's experts to suppress the situation. Are there any places left unsearched? The deepest part of this blessed land, there is a thick fog. Just as these people placed their sights on the bronze hall, Mo Wu Tian had walked to the edge of the fog alone. There is the aura of a immortal Gu. His purple eyes was deep and mysterious, with arrogance and wildness hidden within. Using the purple eyes, the fog dissipated at times, as an endless number of dogs appeared in Mo Wu Tian's vision. He frowned. There was strong defenses, just him alone cannot penetrate this defensive line. He needed external help. His brows eased as Mo Wu Tian turned around. He moved like lightning, tearing through the sky, moving 100 miles as he landed before Hu Mei'er. Hu Mei'er was first scared till she turned pale. After recognizing Mo Wu Tian, she smiled, "Young Master Wu Tian, you came too. This Three Kings inheritance has little meat but many wolves, you might get disappointed." You have advanced to rank 5. Hu Mei'er looked at this man, unable to hide her shock. She gulped, trying to alleviate this shock as she forced out a smile. "That's great, you have rank 5 strength, you have the ability to gain great rewards from this situation. These green egg men have huge numbers, they have built structures and castles, I cannot break through. There is a green egg empress inside, as long as we capture her, we will be able to have endless fortune." He. Mo Wu Tian looked at the castle, laughing lightly. Back then, King Bao, Wang Ba Dan, had 8 egg empresses, and produced numerous eggmen. King Xian, Wang Xiaoya's inheritance has divulged information Gu and undefeated 100 battles Gu. King Quan, Wang Ergo, had 2 dog emperors, Yingming and Ba Huang. This is the essence of the Three Kings inheritance, but none of them interests me. Hu Mei'er's smile froze, to think that young Master Wu Tian knows the Three Kings inheritance so clearly. Since you have no interests in it, why don't you let me have it? As expected of a woman, you are too short-sighted. Mo Wu Tian laughed loudly, staring at Hu Mei'er's eyes. "Let me tell you, the land spirit of this blessed land is not dead, in the deepest area, a deceased Gu immortal's treasure awaits." What? Hu Mei'er was stunned. But there is a thick fog there and over 100,000 dogs guard it. To go to the central control hall, it is not enough with just the 2 of us. Mo Wu Tian laughed deeply. Hu Mei was a smart woman, she immediately understood Mo Wu Tian's intentions. Her eyes shone as she laughed curtly, he, isn't it easy to recruit people? Hu Mei was a decisive person, she abandoned the Green Egg Empress, recruiting demonic Gu masters alone with Mo Wu Tian. With her network, and Mo Wu Tian's cultivation and reputation, a large group of demonic Gu masters soon gathered. Adding in the details of the Gu Immortal's treasure, the demonic merchant Li Xian, fiery star Bao Tong, rock lizard Li Chang and others all gathered. Mo Wu Tian returned to the fog, no longer alone, but with a demonic army amounting to thousands of people. They are finally here. Bai Ningbing, sitting on the hill, stood up slowly. The fog could obscure people's vision, but because of the land spirit's help, Bai Ningbing had a clear vision, and could see the demonic alliance army. Mo Wu Tian observed for a while before saying, Li Chang, bring 300 people and attack head-on. After a few dozen steps, you will face the steel armor dogs. Fight as you retreat, move towards the left and engage with the chrysanthemum Cicada dogs. Defeat them and you will charge towards the southeast direction. Hu Mei bring 500 people, and go left. As you fighting your way through, you will encounter lightning symbol dogs, hedge dogs and corpse dogs, do not mind the losses, just charge towards the north. Bao Tong, go on the right path, bring 800 people. Towards the southwest direction, make a din and shout as you charge, no dogs will obstruct you for 500 steps. After you encounter the lightning symbol dogs, fighting and charge with all you've got, if you cannot break through in 45 minutes, retreat back here. Li Xian, bring 400 people as backup, prepare for mobilization anytime, if I give no commands, take care of the returning troops. Then what about you Mo Wu Tian? Li Xian's eyes shone with deep meaning as he asked. I will obviously stand guard at the base, why, you have a problem. Mo Wu Tian looked at Li Xian lightly with his expression purple eyes. Li Xian felt a chill in his spine. When did this Mo Wu Tian become so scary? His cultivation surged and his killing intent is overflowing, it seems he received an amazing ancient inheritance, if not, how could he improve so much? I had thought that Little Beast King could fight with him, but now it seems that he is truly the demonic path's #1 genius, he is simply too fearsome. Li Xian's heart turned cold as he obeyed the command. With such an arrangement, four demonic experts brought their troops and charged towards the fog according to Mo Wu Tian's orders. Chapter 392, Demonic and Righteous Attacking Together. It's coming. Bai Ningbing's gaze shone as her expression was nervous, quickly mobilizing the dog group. The still dog army started moving, like a giant millstone. As for these Gu masters, they became the green bean and yellow beans, in a short amount of time, they were grinded to paste. More than half were dead, some saw the danger and retreated immediately. The demonic army suffered a huge loss, investing over 1,000 men, but only a few hundred returned. Young Master Wu Tian, did you really see clearly? Li Chang questioned, I charged in according to your instructions. We did encounter the steel armor dog on the first wave, and we retreated towards the left, but we met with the assault of both lightning symbol dogs and chrysanthemum Cicada dogs. The numbers were too great, we can't deal with that. After a fruitless slaughter, we could only come back. Bao Tong's temper was even more irascible, I brought 800 people, but did not hear the shouting sounds from the northwest side. But towards the southeast side, I heard people fighting. I brought my troops there and met with the combined attack of the lightning symbol dogs, hedge dogs and corpse dogs. Hu Mei's expression was also ugly, young Master Wu Tian, I listened to you and prepared to attack. But 800 steps in, I did not see any dog groups. Just when I was confused, dog groups came encircling us, luckily we managed to turn around and fight our way back, if not my life would have been lost there. Li Xian was expressionless, standing at one side. His group was meant to protect the returning Gu masters, and fight the approaching dog groups. Although there were lots of retreating troops, not a single dog came over, causing him to waste his time waiting. Mo Wu Tian's expression was solemn. After a while, he spoke, "I can see the actual scenario much more clearly than all of you. There is someone manipulating these dogs. It is not a fixed formation but an ever-changing one. That is why all of you failed." Everyone was shocked. There is someone controlling them. Who is it? Mo Wu Tian shook his head. The fog is too dense, I can only see a faint figure, I can't tell the identity of the other party. But there is definitely a mastermind, only a human's intelligence can react so perfectly. But no matter, I have some understanding of the enslavement path. From now you have to attack like this, to break through their encirclement and obtain the Gu immortal treasure. Everyone's face had blood stains as they looked at each other, nodding reluctantly due to Mo Wu Tian's rank 5 strength as well as the allure of the immortal treasure. But this time, they still returned in defeat, suffering even greater losses than before. The person behind this has high attainment in enslavement path, I underestimated him. Mo Wu Tian frowned. He had thought of a perfect plan, using all 4 routes to cooperate, but the other party reacted quickly and found out his intentions. Purposely controlling his troops to intercept the 4 routes before they converged, such movements were at the level of a master. Mo Wu Tian, you have to give an explanation. We fight with our lives and lost so many people, but we have not even seen the shadow of the treasure. Are you standing here for fun? You are a rank 5 Gu master, you should put in some effort too. Bao Tong was furious as he screamed while gripping his injury. Oh. You want an explanation? He, then I'll give you a satisfactory answer. Mo Wu Tian laughed sinisterly, as his purple eyes shone. You. Bao Tong was caught by surprise as he stared at Mo Wu Tian, unable to move. A moment later, he fell on the ground. Dead. The Gu masters went into a commotion. Fiery Star Bao Tong, he was a famous rank 4 Fire Path Gu master. Mo Wu Tian did not even attack, he killed him with a single stare. You want an explanation, I gave you an explanation, are you satisfied? If you are unhappy, you can tell me. Mo Wu Tian looked at his corpse as he waited for an answer. You're not speaking, it seems you are satisfied. Mo Wu Tian laughed, looking around, he, Bao Tong is satisfied, what about you guys? Do you want an explanation from me too? It was complete silence all around. Mo Wu Tian killed people in the blink of an eye. Bao Tong was rank 4 upper stage but he could not even take one hit, dying immediately. The demonic Gu masters were scared and shocked, regretting their greed. Why did they follow Mo Wu Tian? Now that they were roped in, they want to leave. Humph, too late. Hu Mei Er and the others lowered their heads, not looking at Mo Wu Tian's eyes. Mo Wu Tian's killing technique caused fear in them. They had thought that he had just advanced to rank 5, and might not have true rank 5 prowess, but to think his fighting strength was on par with Wu Gui and the others. How old was he? Number 1 genius of the demonic path, without a doubt. After establishing his dominance, Mo Wu Tian laughed sinisterly again. Bao Tong's Gu are still around, you guys can split up among yourselves, treat it as a compensation from me. As he said so, the Gu master's eyes glowed. Li Xian was the first to react. With a swoosh, he moved like a rabbit, pouncing on Bao Tong's corpse and taking his Gu. Almost at the same time, Hu Mei Er and Li Chang reacted and started their plunder as well. The others could only watch, not daring to contest. The 3 split Bao Tong's fortune among themselves, earning greatly as the grudge in them dissipated, turning into reverence for Mo Wu Tian. Mo Wu Tian could kill people with his gaze. That was not surprising, it was a sight-based killer move. This type of killer move directly competed souls against each other. The loser would have their souls scattered, not even given the chance to self-detonate their Gu. Mo Wu Tian was a soul path Gu master. The strength of his soul was way above his peers. Dealing with Bao Tong and the others was extremely easy. Cough, cough. Li Xian coughed, saying, since there are beast groups guarding, that area has to be where the central control hall is. The Gu Immortal's fortune is most likely there, but how do we get in with all these dogs? He was wise like a ghost. As the person who obtained the most benefits out of Bao Tong's body, he immediately expressed his support towards Mo Wu Tian. Speaking of the Gu Immortal treasure, Hu Mei-er and Li Chang's attention were brought back to this. Mo Wu Tian looked at this group of people. They were all injured and exhausted, together with some lingering fear. The morale was at an all-time low. He sighed, truly a motley crew. It seems I can only recruit more people to have the hopes of breaking in. Spread the news, regardless of righteous or demonic. Just say that Tai Mu Bai and the others have entered the hall and obtained King Quan inheritance. Those Gu masters are blocking us outside the hall and are trying to hoard the treasure. This. Hu Mei-er hesitated. Mo Wu Tian laughed coldly. Time is running short. Once the blessed land collapses, we will have nothing left. Without more people, can we break through? Young master is right. Hu Mei-er quickly replied. Finally stopped. On the mountain slope, Bai Ningbing breathed out a sigh of relief, but lightly frowned. The methods Fang Yuan handed to her were already half used up. After a few more attacks, she would be at her wit's end. Haha, my tactic at finding a chance in the chaos succeeded. After blowing up this wall, I will get King Bao, Wang Ba Dan's inheritance. Xiao Meng laughed loudly. Right now, he was alone in a hidden cave. Before him, there was a tall and sturdy stone door. As long as it is blown apart, King Bao's final inheritance will be obtained. Bam! 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 Light shone as explosions went off. A moment later, Xiao Meng stopped his attacks while panting, staring at the stone door hatefully. The door was intact, there was no traces of any cracks. Light path focuses on speed and purification, the destructive power does not match fire path. King Bao evidently wants to find a fated person who can use fire-type Gu to break through. But I do not have such Gu. Xiao Meng gritted his teeth, feeling indignant. At this moment, a Gu master came to report. Go out, who let you in? King Bao inheritance is mine alone. Eh? What did you say? Xiao Meng scolded but suddenly heard his subordinate's report and grabbed his collar, lifting him up. You say there is a Gu immortal treasure hidden in the thick fog, and people are trying to take it down now. Yes, this information has circulated, countless Gu masters are gathering. How would I dare to lie to you, second young master? The subordinate quickly replied. Humph, don't call me second young master. I hate that title. Xiao Meng scolded, looking at this stone door reluctantly, as his gaze turned from hesitation to determination. Wang Ba Dan was only a rank 5 Gu master, although he was called King Bao, he was only the same rank as Xiao Meng. How could his inheritance compare to a Gu immortal treasure? Go, let's go. Xiao Meng led his subordinates and moved quickly. The number of people is increasing. On the slope, Bai Ningbing's frown deepened as there were almost 10,000 people gathered outside the fog. These people had differing cultivation levels, there were even rank 1 and 2s. But there were still Gu masters, gathered together, they formed a tidal wave that could sweep everything in its path. Although she controlled 100,000 dogs, she was a sole person. Outside, countless gazes looked inside with a burning desire. They were all attracted by the immortal's treasure. As the people created a commotion, Mo Wu Tian smiled without speaking a word. His motive was achieved: birds die for food and humans die for fortune. This was human heart. Over at the righteous path, they are organizing people and charging into the fog. Hu Meier looked far away, worried. Young Master Wu Tian, all the demonic Gu masters are here already. Are you going to stand up and direct them to form groups? We can't let the righteous path steal the treasure. No worries, no worries. There is such a thick fog, with steel armor dogs acting as steel walls. What can their vanguards do? Mo Wu Tian laughed coldly, refusing to act. Righteous path was superior to demonic path. They were more united and more easy to unite, while demonic path members were loners. Although Mo Wu Tian had rank 5 cultivation, he was still young and this was the first time he was leading. He could not subdue everyone. Old demonic experts like Kong Ri Tian and Li Fei Lu would not listen to him easily. Only when they realized that cooperating had benefits, could he use that chance to take over easily. But now, in the hall, the Gu refinement had reached the crucial period. After half a day, the golden peanut shell collided with divine travel Gu. Bam bam bam. Fong Yuan and Feng Wu Yu's vision turned black as thunder roared in their ears. Divine opportunity is unlimited, travel through the lands. Activate. Fong Yuan screamed, using all his energy to activate Divine Travel Gu. Divine Travel Gu was an immortal Gu. How could he, a mortal, activate it easily? But thankfully, the land spirit helped him secretly. As the immortal essence poured out, the Divine Travel Gu turned into light speckles as it entered the golden peanut shell. The qualitative change had begun. Chapter 393, Group Attack. Xiao Mang looked at the fog in front of him, his gaze deep and solemn. He relied on his rank 5 cultivation to gain the commanding position of the righteous path. He organized many assaults, but returned in great failure, suffering a huge loss. In the fog, countless dogs were hidden, causing every wave of Gu masters that entered suffer great injuries. No matter how big the losses, it will not block my path. Immortal treasure, this is an immortal treasure. Xiao Mang's eyes shone with brilliance, shouting excitedly in his heart. Let's go again, organize the next wave of people. Xiao Mang instructed, but this time, little people joined in. The painful lesson was right in front of them. Despite the great benefits, these righteous Gu masters started to hesitate. After all, they only had one life. A bunch of cowards. Xiao Mang saw them hesitate and scolded in his heart. Time was running short for him. Other than this immortal treasure, he also had King Bao inheritance to obtain. If we had an enslavement path Gu master controlling beast groups, we could use them as cannon fodder, reducing our Gu master casualties, and regain our morale. Xiao Mang thought of this point. In such a situation, the importance of an enslavement path Gu master was evident. Where is Wu Clan's Wu Shentong? With his help, we would be able to break through the fog and reach the central hall. Xiao Mang asked. But the answer he got was disappointing. Wu Shentong had gone missing, even Wu clansmen were trying to find him. Xiao Mang looked at the demonic faction, and his heart shook. Not only Wu Shentong, even the demonic paths Wu Gui and Zhang San San are not around. Is the Gu master controlling the dogs in the fog one of these 3 people? Xiao Mang continued guessing as he looked towards the grand hall. However, the fog obstructed his vision, causing him to feel even more irritated at the situation. This damn fog, it is so annoying. Too bad Wanli Xiong Feng is not around, otherwise my clan's divine wind will blow this fog away. One clan's Gu master exclaimed. If my clan's old clan leader is here, why would we fear these dogs? Tai clan's 4 old-timers snorted. Lord Xiao Mang, we are not making any progress, the demonic faction is looking at us like a joke. What do we do? The Righteous Path's famous healer Tao Zi came over and asked Xiao Mang. These demonic scoundrels. Xiao Mang looked over at the demonic faction as the irritation in his heart intensified. It seems I have to make a move. He snorted, as a brilliant light appeared in his eyes. All of you, move back. Everyone heard this and retreated tens of steps away. At once, Xiao Mang's surroundings were vacated, emphasizing his existence. Xiao Mang stood on the spot, shutting his eyes as his mind entered his aperture, activating his purple crystal primeval essence. The ebb and flow of the primeval sea became greater. After storing energy for a moment, Xiao Mang's eyes opened. As his primeval sea has turned into a furious tsunami, large amounts of primeval essence entered 3 Gu worms. Extreme Light Gu. My Will Gu. Bright Spear Gu. Killer Move, My Glorious Spear. Xiao Mang's body shone with a piercing white light, the intensity of the light was dense, expanding like a mound. Xiao Mang's body was bathed in light, he had an impressive appearance, like a descending Holy Spirit. He raised a finger towards the fog. Immediately, the light around him were manipulated, and shot out ferociously. All of the white sunlight shot out at the same time, forming a 1.8 m long and 0.6 m thick spear of light. 60% of the purple crystal essence in his aperture were used up in this one attack. The spear of light was powerful, penetrating the fog and landed on the mound at breakneck speed. Bam! A fierce explosion occurred. The intense light caused everyone's eyes to be shut tightly, as they took a step back subconsciously. Even Mo Wu Tian's eyes were squinting into a thin line. The explosion caused the ground to rumble, as after the light, air currents started to spread outwards. The air currents turned into a strong wind, blowing in all directions, causing many people to lose their footing. Guh! Guh! In the hall, Fong Yuan and Feng Tianyu, who were refining Gu, were interrupted and both vomited a mouthful of blood. Bai Ningbing's face was pale, her ears buzzing from the aftermath of the attack. This is the strength of a rank 5 Gu master. Luckily, such a killer move did not hit me directly. If it landed here, my defensive Gu would not even last for a second. Bai Ningbing unavoidably felt great shock. The killer move of a rank 5 Gu master, it was not something the current her could block. As the whiteness faded from her eyes, she could see that at the location where the light spear landed, thousands of dogs were vaporized. The mound had turned into a crater. Bai Ningbing drew in a breath of cold air. With such might, just a few more hits and the dog formation would be ruined. Her confidence dropped again, but Fong Yuan had instructed her beforehand what she should do in the event she was hit with such a great move. As Bai Ningbing manipulated, large numbers of dogs hurried to the crater, as her defenses were raised once again. Gasp, so many dogs! Xiao Mang's heart was heavy, and the righteous and demonic Gu masters gasped sharply too. When there was a fog earlier, they could not see clearly, but now that the fog was gone, everyone's vision was clear. Over 90,000 dogs, densely packed on the mound, forming an iron bucket defense. Lightning Symbol Dog, Chrysanthemum Akita Dog, Hedge Dog, Steel Armor Dog, Een Dog. Some people counted, each dog group had over 5,000 and more. So many dog kings. Someone shouted. No matter how many dogs there were, they could not hide the dog kings due to their disposition. Other than the Chrysanthemum Akita dogs who were unique, these dog kings were all seated, like a flame in the darkness, extremely eye-catching. These dogs and dog kings are not that much of a threat. But there are so many heavy Tai, Green Hua, Smoke Song, Light Hung and Star Hung, these 5 great mountain dogs. Some Gu masters with good vision turned pale. The outer defense was made up of lighting symbol dogs, chrysanthemum Akita dogs, and other ordinary dogs. The inner circle of defense was made up of the 5 great mountain dogs. As for the entrance of the hall, the final line of defense, there were several hundred hairy men. The entire formation was tight and secure, yet not rigid. They all had mobility and flexibility. What an iron formation! Mo Wu Tian's purple eyes shone with light as he felt the situation getting more troublesome. Even more people directed their gaze to the bronze hall. The grand yet modest hall had inscriptions and intrinsic designs, giving off an ancient atmosphere. That is the bronze hall that contains the immortal treasure. As long as we get past the dogs, we will reach the grand hall. Immortal treasure, immortal treasure. I wonder what mind-blowing riches awaits us. Everyone's gaze were heated, the goal was in front of them, it made their greed overflow. He, it is time. Mo Wu Tian looked around, sensing the change in the atmosphere. Greed was like fire burning in everyone's hearts. But the great dog army deterred them. Everyone knew that with their own strength, they would never succeed. This was the basis for cooperation. Lord Xiaomang, let's talk about cooperation. Mo Wu Tian's body was like a black smoke phantom, taking several steps and arriving before Xiaomang. Xiaomang snorted. When he saw the overwhelming dog army, he thought of cooperation. But he was afraid of getting rejected by Mo Wu Tian and also worried about his own reputation if he approached the demonic faction for cooperation as a righteous rank 5 cultivator. Right now, Mo Wu Tian approached him personally. It was music to his ears. Humph. Xiaomang snorted. His attitude was neither cold nor hot, as he made eye contact with Mo Wu Tian. Mo Wu Tian immediately understood Xiaomang's intentions. He was extremely disdainful towards such hypocrisy, but he said, then in 15 minutes, we will attack from the front and back together. Xiaomang nodded, turning around, no longer looking at him. Mo Wu Tian sneered, walking back and telling his people, I just approached Xiaomang and agitated him, to have a competition with him. Next, we will split into 2, attacking together from 2 sides. We will compete to see who gets to the bronze hall first, whether the righteous faction or us demonic faction wins. Xiaomang announced at the other side, demonic scoundrels are greedy and unscrupulous, finding me to cooperate, obviously I rejected them. How can I work with these scum? 15 minutes later, they will attack. We will take the chance and attack as they endure some of the pressure for us. Ha ha ha. Young Master Wu Tian rules. Defeat these righteous hypocrites. Demonic Gu masters were riled up as they shouted. Lord Xiaomang is wise. Let those demonic scoundrels attract the enemy for us. The righteous Gu masters were spirited. Kill. 15 minutes later, the attack began. Righteous and demonic were far away, attacking from 2 directions. Bai Ningbing was hidden at some place, relying on her shared vision with the land spirit, using its divine consciousness to scan the battlefield. Tens of thousands of dogs barked and bared their paws as they charged ahead. At once, blood flowed and broken limbs flew. All sorts of Gu worms competed, like the dance of fire and ice, lightning exploded and soil was overturned, green vines grew endlessly. Kill. Yi Chong charged ahead, brave and fearless. His body was covered in blue fish scales, the wind blew his fiery red hair into the air. All around him, there was a light blue spiral wave, together with the black fins that grew on his back, he seemed to have become a fearsome shark in the sea. None of the dogs could block him. Immortal treasure, if I can get it and succeed in my mission, I would definitely be able to change my surname to Shang when I return to the clan. Yihua's gaze was determined as he turned into the god of fire, attacking even more fiercely than Yichong. Everywhere he went, there was blazing flames and crying dogs. Kong Ri Tian laughed heartily, turning into a rain of petals. Li Xian laughed coldly, while people were not noticing. He used his rank 5 Gu and concealed his body, secretly moving ahead. Let's work together, with me healing there is no worry. Tao Zi shouted as many Gu masters gathered over. People were moving, and in this great battle, Yan Jun moved slowly and steadily, like a casual traveler. A strong and brave dog king pounced at him. Yan Hun's expression was unchanging as he turned into a hollow shadow. The dog king jumped over and went straight through the shadow. The shadow flickered, turning back into Yan Jun's flesh body. The dog king behind him had engaged the Gu masters behind already. The Gu masters displayed all their abilities, battling with the dog group. The scene was as chaotic as it could be, and Bai Ningbing could barely cope facing such a huge number of opponents, starting to fluster. Chapter 394, Success at Long Last. Kill. Charge. Damn, why are there so many dogs? Murderous yells, shouts, miserable howls, swearing and dog howls combined to form into a huge clamor that seemed to shake the world. The battle had not even begun for 5 minutes, blood had formed into a river and there were corpses everywhere. Bai Ningbing hid at some secret place and used all her strength to mobile the dog groups. With the help of the land spirit, she was able to gradually stabilize the situation. Lightning symbol dog, chrysanthemum akita dog and other common dog beasts suffered the most casualties. Gu masters had charged halfway through the dog beasts and ran into the formation of the 5 great mountain dogs, having great casualties. Heavy Tai, Green Hua, Smoke Song, Light Hung and Star Hung, these 5 great dogs were very powerful and their circular formation was very reliable. They were like a huge dam that blocked these Gu masters that were charging like a tide. At this stage, both righteous and demonic factions suffered heavy casualties. Big brother, hold on. Meng Tu grabbed Jiao Huang's arm. Jiao Huang had suffered heavy injuries from where blood flowed out without stopping. Jiao Huang borrowed Meng Tu's strength to barely move along with the majority. Right now, they could not retreat. They could not even stop to rest. If they left the troops, the dog beasts would submerge their tiny bodies. Brother, we have made a huge loss this time. We accepted Shang clan's assignment to get Fang Zheng's head. To think we would encounter an immortal treasure, sigh, we gave in to our desire for material benefits and thus fell into such desperate straits. Jiao Huang heaved a sigh. These two were rank 3 peak stage Gu masters, famous assassin group of demonic path. They had even succeeded in assassinating rank 4 Gu master Xiao Fu Lu. They thought of joining Shang clan and thus were prepared to secretly handle Fang Yuan. But the whole way, they did not find any good opportunity. After charging into the blessed land, they encountered an immortal treasure, and followed with the majority. The result, they sent themselves into danger. In this chaotic battle, only rank 5 experts could move unhindered. Rank 4 peak stage could fight valiantly. Rank 4 upper stage had to move with the crowd. Those rank 1 and 2 Gu masters made up the most of the casualties. Rank 3 Gu masters also had to rely on luck to survive. But even so, Gu masters still charged forward endlessly. The illusionary immortal treasure ignited their most crazed fanatical desires. They were charging recklessly, all delusional about obtaining the immortal treasure and attaining success in life, becoming an expert. Only for a certain group of people, at the time of their deaths, they calmed down and regretted endlessly. Unfortunately, it was too late. These people have gone mad, forgetting their own life or death at the enticement of the immortal treasure. Tai Ruanan slowed down her footsteps. She was shocked by the state of the battlefield. Thai clans for old-timers were surrounding her in a protective formation. The way I see it, this probably has to do with that Mo Wu Tian. The head of the Thai clans for old-timers suddenly said in a soft voice. You are saying. Tai Ruanan's gaze flashed. Far away, Mo Wu Tian was moving forward in the lead, laughing crazily with his purple deep eyes flashing with dazzling light. He was a soul path Gu master and had secretly used his Gu to make everyone more fanatical. Demonic path members should all be put to death. Tai Ruanan snorted, the killing intent in her heart surging up. Young master, Mo Wu Tian is a rank 5 expert, he is not someone we will be able to fight easily. We need to deal with urgent matters first, our objective is not him. One of the Thai clans for old-timers persuaded. Tai Ruanan pursed her lips and heavily nodded her head, her gaze firm as iron. Right, the most important matter right now is still Little Beast King Fongzheng. Ha ha ha, I hadn't thought the enslavement path Gu master in the dark would only amount to this. Mo Wu Tian laughed wildly, the fierce wind blowing in the battlefield blew his black hair and his demonic flames danced rampantly. The united charge of righteous and demonic Gu masters was going on much better than he expected. Bai Ningbing was after all a newbie. Earlier, she had Fong Yuan's formations and instructions to follow. But the current situation had become more complex with a lot more new changes, it was a lot more than she could take, and this in turn were flaws that were clear to Gu masters at the level of Mo Wu Tian. Mo Wu Tian's eyes flashed repeatedly with eerie light, at the same time as charging forward, he was doing multiple tasks. He constantly controlled his Gu to attack the dog beasts and also to influence people's minds and create a fanatical atmosphere. At the same time, he was also using his Gu to scout the battlefield. Enslavement path Gu masters always had powerful offense and could battle many opponents with just the strength of one person. But everything in this world was balanced. Enslavement path had a clear disadvantage, besides the huge consumption of resources they needed, their individual strength was weak and were easy to kill. Mo Wu Tian was searching for Bai Ningbing's position, as long as he killed Bai Ningbing, the dog-beast formation would fall apart and a large majority of them would even scatter without a fight. Found you. Mo Wu Tian's gaze suddenly concentrated as he discovered the hiding place of Bai Ningbing. He, give me your life. He laughed and flung his sleeve, his figure turning into a ball of purple demonic fog. The demonic fog moved through the battlefield at an astonishing speed and in just a few breaths' time was only 1,000 steps away from Bai Ningbing. Not good. Bai Ningbing discovered the charging fog and her heart sank. Mo Wu Tian was a rank 5 Gu master while Bai Ningbing was only at rank 4, by just this she would be hard-pressed to fight him, let alone now when she was doing multiple tasks and controlling the dog beasts. Fortunately, I also have my trump cards. Bai Ningbing was startled but not panicked as she willed, go bite him, Ba Huang. A hill-sized enormous dog emperor heard the command and with one leap, flew over 100 feet and smashed into Mo Wu Tian. Woof! Ba Huang barked loudly, its bark was like a bolt from the blue, suppressing the whole battlefield and turning it silent. Following the bark, the dog beasts flared up with high morale, the casualties among the Gu masters became more intense. Dog Emperor. Its physique was majestic with its whole body covered with yellow sleek fur. It had a head like that of a lion with thick mane around its neck that was dazzling like a sun. This was an emperor among the beasts and was not something that could be looked down upon. Once it used the wild Gu on it, it could contend against rank 5 Gu masters. Damn it! Mo Wu Tian cursed when he was stopped by Ba Huang. Bai Ningbing let out a breath of relief, but right at this time, a dazzling silver light shot through the battlefield and appeared in front of her instantly. He. Demonic Path Jr., take a good look at me. The silver light turned into a human figure, rank 5 righteous path expert Xiao Mang. Ing Ming. Bai Ningbing withstood the pressure and commanded in her mind, sending out the second dog emperor. This second dog emperor was the size of a normal dog beast. There were gorgeous patterns on its snowy white skin like pink cherry blossoms. Withstanding Xiao Mang's intense pressure, the wild goo on the dog emperor activated and created clouds below Ing Ming's feet, allowing it to fly. Just a mere wild dog, it is actually a dog emperor. Xiao Mang scoffed, but after few exchanges of lightning-fast attacks and defending, he withdrew his contempt and fought cautiously. Bai Ningbing's expression was gloomy. Although the two rank 5 experts were blocked, this situation was only temporary. Humans were the spirit of all living beings, humans' wisdom was superior to beasts. Sooner or later, Mo Wu Tian and Xiao Mang would understand the Dog Emperor's trump cards and then could make their moves with ease, even bypassing them to directly kill Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing looked around the battlefield. The other Gu masters were still in the middle of the battlefield fighting and charging forward, they were temporarily of no threat. Bai Ningbing let out a breath of relief and turned her gaze towards the bronze hall. There is not much time. Her blue eyes narrowed, letting out a clear and cold radiance. Inside the bronze hall, Fang Yuan took large mouthfuls of air, gasping heavily. Meanwhile, Feng Tianyu was already lying on the ground, unconscious. Blood flowed out of Fang Yuan's 7 orifices, but he did not care, a pair of bright eyes stared at front. A goo was letting out brilliant light as it floated it in the air. It did not have a concrete shape, occasionally, it was like a colorful cloud and occasionally it was like a whirlpool of light. Success! Fang Yuan was filled with joy, he had already succeeded in refining divine travel goo. Now only one step remained and he could obtain second aperture goo. You succeeded, you really succeeded. The land spirit appeared beside Fang Yuan. It was extremely weak but its eyes glowed with light, full of happiness at the success. You are worthy of being a future Gu immortal, you could really refine divine travel Gu, amazing. It was indeed a correct choice to entrust this task to you. Now, the most difficult step has passed, it is smooth sailing ahead. Next, you need to use third watch Gu and it will be a success without the least bit of difficulty. The land spirit heaved a long sigh, its sigh full of emotions. Thousands of years of effort has finally succeeded today. The recipe indeed works, I am truly happy. But such a pity, that I can't see the second aperture Gu in the end. After it finished speaking, the land spirit Ba Gui's body gradually turned fainter and fainter till it completely disappeared. It was dead. The immortal essence in the bronze cauldron was almost finished with only a thin trace remaining. The blessed land had already collapsed for the most part and was at the brink of extinction. The aged Ba Gui had been helping Fang Yuan in refining Gu and also helping Bai Ningbing to guard, it finally could not endure such pressure and completely withered away. But compared to previous life where it had died a death of desperation under many Gu masters' attacks, it was much more blessed during this life and could even be said to have had a proper death. Ba Gui's death meant the immortal essence could not be used anymore. However, Fang Yuan was not nervous. For the next final step, the immortal essence could be replaced with large amounts of primeval stones. Even if Ba Gui was alive, that trace of immortal essence in the bronze cauldron was required to support the operation of the blessed land and simply could not be used to refine Gu. The difficulty of this immortal Gu refinement exceeds spring-autumn cicada. Just now, that huge shock to the main hall almost caused all the efforts to be a waste, and in case the Gu refinement had failed, with just my mortal body, I will definitely die from the backlash without even having time to activate spring-autumn cicada. Moreover, This most crucial step had an extreme demand on mind and a mortal simply cannot endure it. Fortunately, I chose to enslave Feng Tianyu just to be safe, otherwise this step could never have been completed. In his previous life, Feng Yuan was already a Gu immortal when he refined Spring-Autumn Cicada. Now this time, he was refining Immortal Gu with the qualifications of a mortal and he should not have had any chance of success. However, first, the mysterious Gu immortal had racked his brain and used up all his life to research and perfect this recipe. Second, the recipe used the Immortal Gu divine travel which greatly reduced the absurd difficulty. And finally, it was not done by Feng Yuan alone, he had the help of Land Spirit and also Enslavement Path Grandmaster Feng Tianyu. All these helped Feng Yuan to complete the most difficult and dangerous step. Next I have to use Third Watch Gu, this is much more simple. Right, I wonder how the situation outside is. Feng Yuan calmed his mind and then started hearing the shouts and commotion outside the main hall. Feng Yuan, be careful. Someone broke through the dog formation, a rank 4 Gu master is coming towards you. Right at this time, Bai Ningbing's warning arrived. Feng Yuan's expression was heavy as he slowly stood up. Chapter 395, Bai Ningbing. Currently, the land spirit was dead and Feng Yuan was unable to see the scene outside the hall. However, with his previous life memories, he could guess one or two things without looking at the situation. There are only 2 rank 5 experts in the Blessed Land, Xiao Mang and Mo Wu Tian. They will be held back by the 2 dog emperors for some time. There are a lot of rank 4 Gu masters, but at this time, there is only one who can charge to this place. That is the young clan leader of Yan clan, Yan Jun. He obtained the ancient Phantom Path inheritance and is specialized in hiding and attacking. It should not be a problem for him to charge through the dog-beast formation. Feng Yuan pondered, it was the truth as well. Phantom Path had once flourished in the ancient times, its concept was to be footloose and carefree, invincibility through dodging. As long as one could evade every attack, that was a form of invincibility. In Feng Yuan's previous life, Phantom Path Yan Jun had shown great brilliance at the Battle of Tian Mountain, challenging the demonic Path Gu masters and causing them to suffer severe losses. That was until Mo Wu Tian showed up and beat him into retreating. This blessed land doesn't have strong defense. The central area is so important but there is only a bronze hall built there, although it can be used to store things, its defense is really thin. The whole thing is impressive looking but useless. If it was like the Hu Immortal Blessed Land with Dang Hun Mountain as defense, it would simply be like a heavenly moat and even Gu Immortals would have a headache facing it. Even my own blessed land that had the structure of a blood sea was much better than this hall. Feng Yuan inwardly felt resentment. He walked over to Feng Tianyu and kicked him awake. Get up. Feng Yuan said in a cold voice. Feng Tianyu had worked hard and made great contributions, if it were not for him bearing most of the pressure, Feng Yuan might not have succeeded in refining to this stage. Ugh, master. He woke up with bloodshot eyes, his hair was scraggy like weed and his face was pale white, his body was swaying as he greeted Feng Yuan. Go out of the main hall and block the rank 4 Phantom Path Gu master. Even if you have to sacrifice your life. Feng Yuan ruthlessly commanded. Yes, subordinate will do his best. Feng Tianyu bit his lips and walked out. His primeval essence was almost completely consumed and he did not have enough fighting strength left. Moreover, as a refinement path grandmaster, he was not specialized in intense battle. It was almost guaranteed that he would not return alive from this mission. However, the current Feng Yuan still needed to continue with the final step, he did not have any other force remaining, thus he could only send Feng Tianyu. Second Aperture Gu is the top priority. Sacrificing a refinement path grandmaster for it is nothing much. Fong Yuan sat down in a cross-legged position and looked at the continuously changing gorgeous light in the air. At this step, second aperture Gu was already mostly completely and was interchanging between real and surreal, form and formless. It was unable to be moved and also could only exist for 6 hours. After 6 hours, if the refinement has still not been carried out, the light would disappear and all the previous effort would be wasted. There is no turning back now. As long as I finish this final step, I will obtain second aperture Gu. It is just that. Fong Yuan subconsciously stroked his abdomen with a grave expression. In the blessed land, time flew 3 times faster than the outside world. Spring-autumn Cicada was recovering extremely fast and bringing great pressure to the aperture. Even though Fong Yuan's aperture was rank 4 upper stage, it could not endure this pressure and there were indications of tiny cracks on the aperture surface. Next, he would have to still use 2/3 watch Gu, and with the effects overlaid, the time flow would be 9 times faster. At that time, could his aperture endure the pressure? Fong Yuan was not someone who would recklessly take risks and had already meticulously planned before beginning the Gu refinement. He had a huge chance of winning this gamble. As long as he got the second aperture and promptly left the blessed land, he would be able to have few months of respite. He naturally had some backup plans at that time. Third watch Gu, go. He calmed down his mind and gathered his concentration to begin the final step. Under the effect of third watch Gu, that light ball immediately started changing rapidly. The light rays were dazzling and gave off a mysterious aura that was hard to describe in words. Divine Travel Gu broadens the space and third watch Gu condenses the time. This is the using the laws of both space and time. This truly is the way of Gu passed down from the immemorial era. Genuine knowledge comes from practice and Fong Yuan gained some comprehension from this. Time flew. The first third watch Gu's effect was nearing its end. The light ball faintly solidified, giving off the shape of the final product. The shouts from outside the main hall became louder, but whether it were Mo Wu Tian, Xiao Mang, or Yen Jun and so on, no one had yet to charge inside. Good, next it is the second third watch Gu. Looking at the refinement finally about to succeed, even Fong Yuan started feeling excited. However, right at this time, Bai Ningbing's voice came, Fong Yuan, be careful. Tai Ruanan has broken the defense line and is coming towards you. Fong Yuan's expression changed. At this moment, his whole attention was concentrated on the refinement and he could not pull out from it. How could he face the enemy? With Feng Tianyu already being sent out, he did not have any defensive force. What to do? Bai Ningbing, what the hell are you doing? Are you still not going to come to guard me? I can't move now. If I die, you will also die under the powers of poison Vao Gu. Fong Yuan transmitted his furious voice. He was extremely helpless and could only call Bai Ningbing over. Without Bai Ningbing to take control, the dog groups outside would definitely be a group of leaderless army and there would be huge chaos. And soon, the group of heroes could kill their way through. However, Fong Yuan could not care about it. Right now, he was like a fish on the chopping board. Anyone could slaughter him with him not having even a bit of retaliation power. If someone did not protect him, he would be easily killed by Tai Ruanan. Fortunately, the Gu refinement was already at its final stage and now only the second third watch Gu had to be used. Fong Yuan only hoped for more time. As long as he made every second count and finished the refinement, with the many rank 4 and rank 5 movement Gu on him, he could break out of the siege and escape alive. As for Bai Ningbing, she is suitable to block the incoming enemies, her use would be maximized. As for what her ending would be, it was not something Fong Yuan could consider at the moment. Bam! The hall's great door was pushed open violently. Tai Ruanan walked inside and saw the scene in the hall. She was first dazed before immediately reacting with both shock and happiness. "Little Beast King, today is the day I shall take your head." She went in for the kill before she even finished speaking. With a wave of her hand, countless golden needles flew out. By Ning Bing. The concentrated aura of death came pouncing on him, and Fang Yuan could not help shouting again. Whoosh! Cold wind blew and ice started spreading, forming into an ice wall that blocked all the golden needles. Next moment, Bai Ningbing also appeared at the entrance of the main hall. However, her state was clearly not good. She was covered in blood and injuries filled her body. The most severe injury was on her back, a cut that spread from her shoulder to her sacrum. It was so deep that even her bones could be seen. There were bits of green leaves sticking on her clothes, her silver hair was scorched, and her whole left arm was purple. She was clearly poisoned. "Quick, block her!" Fang Yuan shouted. "I only need a little time." "You still have the leisure to say such nonsense, just make the most of this time to refine the goo." Bai Ningbing gritted her teeth and cursed before starting to fight Tai Ruanan. Tai Ruanan laughed coldly, her golden needles flew like lightning with extremely terrifying offensive power. Bai Ningbing clenched her teeth. She had suffered heavy injuries and did not even have 10% of her original strength. She soon fell into disadvantage. Several moves later, Bai Ningbing's injuries intensified, her ankle sprained and her body wavered. Tai Ruanan keenly grabbed this chance to move in for a fierce attack. Bai Ningbing was again inflicted with heavy injuries and fell down to the ground. "I shall kill you first." An imprint that was on Tai Ruanan's forehead flashed and turned into solid, forming a golden flying dagger that shot out fiercely. Whoosh! The golden flying dagger cut through the air towards Bai Ningbing's neck, but it missed by just a hairline gap and pierced into the bronze tile. Bai Ningbing rolled quickly and evaded the fatal attack, shouting, "How long do you still need?" Fang Yuan's heart was thumping loudly as he gritted his teeth and shouted, "Just a little bit, hold on even if you die." "If I die, you won't be able to live either." Bai Ningbing cursed but was interrupted by Tai Ruanan's attack. Tai Ruanan's offense came in wave after wave. Bai Ningbing was sent into retreat bit by bit and could only make dodging his priority, struggling in between the thin line of life and death. Several more moves later, Bai Ningbing gasped roughly, "I can't continue. Fang Yuan, I am going to self-destruct." "Your aptitude has already returned to 100%. Fang Yuan was startled. "What do you think?" Bai Ningbing cursed. Fang Yuan narrowed his eyes. Bai Ningbing changing back into Northern Dark Soul Ice physique was a definite thing. But he had not expected it to be this quick. According to his calculation, despite the time flowing 3 times faster in the Blessed Land, it should have only have been after several more months. Fang Yuan was in a critical juncture of the refinement process and was unable to distract his mind to consider too much. The self-destruction of a 10 extreme physique possessed extreme might, and even rank 5 Gu masters would have to take evasive actions. Once Bai Ningbing self-destructed, there would be an extreme change in the whole battle situation. "Try to hold on, unless you can't control it anymore, don't." Fang Yuan shouted. He was refining the Gu with his back facing the entrance and could not see the concrete situation of the fight between Tai Ruanan and Bai Ningbing. The response he received, however, was Bai Ningbing's deep sigh. "It's too late." The next moment, Fang Yuan felt the cold aura spread everywhere in the main hall and the temperature decreased rapidly. Crack. There were continuous sounds of ice forming. "What Gu is this?" Tai Ruanan's cry of surprise also reached Fang Yuan's ears. Fang Yuan turned his head with difficulty to look and saw the main hall already becoming a world of ice and snow. Bai Ningbing was floating high up in the air, her whole body turning into ice crystal, similar to the situation when she had self-destructed back at Qing Mao Mountain. The cold wind blustered and glaciers rose, crushing towards Tai Ruanan with vast and majestic force. Tai Ruanan had a fierce expression as she quickly retreated towards outside. However, the door of the main hall was already condensed into ice. She was like a turtle trapped in a jar and was surrounded by the icy layers. Is this the legendary Northern Dark Ice Soul physique? Tai Ruanan cried out in surprise. But it was already too late, she was sealed within the ice like an insect in an amber. The ice, however, did not stop spreading and was spreading towards Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing! Bai Ningbing! Fang Yuan worriedly shouted, but there was no response from Bai Ningbing. Her body had almost become one with ice and her whole face had started turning indistinct. Her crystal-like eyes no longer shone and had thoroughly dimmed. Damn it! Fang Yuan's brain was hurting from the anxiety, the ice had already reached his body, he could only use Gu. Gu flew out and landed on Bai Ningbing's body. Immediately Yang aura and the icy coldness formed into a whirlpool of primeval essence. The scene back at Qing Mao Mountain many years ago appeared once again. Ice stopped spreading, but this distraction almost caused the Gu refinement to fail. Fang Yuan's heart thumped loudly in shock and he immediately concentrated all his attention without being concerned about the situation behind him. Under his efforts and control, the light clouds finally condensed into second aperture Gu. Immortal Gu! I finally succeeded. Right now, Fang Yuan's heart was exploding with joy. All his efforts and all the risks he took had created a very satisfactory outcome. Pew! Right at this time, a sharp ice blade pierced through Fang Yuan's heart, piercing from behind him and coming out of his chest. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk to needle size and he looked behind with difficulty. Bai Ningbing! You! Fang Yuan, to think there would be a day where you fall into a trap. Tai Ruanan slowly walked over, her gaze filled with hatred. Chapter 396, Bai Ningbing. The bronze hall was deathly silent. Time seemed to have frozen as the atmosphere became very heavy. Fang Yuan was sitting cross-legged on the ground with the rank 6 second aperture Gu floating in front of him. Immortal Gu refinement had succeeded, but Fang Yuan's attention was not at this immortal Gu. He turned his head with difficulty and gazed at Bai Ningbing, his eyes revealing his deep doubts. Bai Ningbing, who had already recovered his male body, was holding an ice blade and was expressionlessly standing behind him. Tai Ruanan slowly walked over and fixed her gaze at Fang Yuan, her expression showing both grief and joy. Fang Yuan, you had never in your wildest imagination expect this day to occur, right? Fang Yuan seemed like he did not hear anything and kept on looking at Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing looked at Fang Yuan. With the recovery of his male body, his height had increased, he was wearing a snow-white robe, his silver hair was floating in the air and his eyes shone with deep coldness. He was like a glacier, extremely cold. You didn't expect it, right? That you would finally be defeated by me. Bai Ningbing indifferently smiled while looking at Fang Yuan. Since my resurrection back on Qing Mao Mountain, I had been pondering on how to recover my male body. In the days spent with you, I was firmly controlled by you as a chess piece that could be moved at your will. You are not the strongest enemy in my life, but I have to admit that you are absolutely the most terrifying one. Fang Yuan, you are someone with innate talent for scheming, and with your vicious methods, you are a very formidable person. But I, Bai Ningbing, am also not an ordinary character. How could I become someone's subordinate? Humph. The more you controlled me and the more you exploited me, the more I thought of ways to escape, to make a comeback and counterattack. But the Yang Gu was with you and you could cause it to self-destruct with just a thought. Thus, I did not act recklessly but racked my brains to think of countermeasures until one day, I got a superb inspiration and thought of a way. Actually, the scene of you voluntarily hand over the Gu had already happened once on Qing Mao Mountain. Right, that is to repeat the scene back on Qing Mao Mountain. The time of my self-destruction will be the time you use the Yang Gu. With this as the start, I began to plot secretly. The corner of Bai Ningbing's lips slowly spread into a smile. I would self-destruct, but it would naturally not be actual self-destruction since there was a chance you might not use Yang Gu. So, I chose Ice Crystal Gu. Fong Yuan's expression was dim as water. Back at Xianxia City, Bai Ningbing chose Ice Path. Among the Ice Path, there were 3 transformation-type Gu, Frost Demon Gu, Snow Fairy Gu and Ice Crystal Gu. Wei Yang had strongly recommended Bai Ningbing to choose Snow Fairy Gu. Snow Fairy Gu was suitable for female Gu masters while Ice Crystal Gu was suitable for males. Bai Ningbing, however, chose Ice Crystal Gu as a female which had caused Wei Yang to feel great regret. You finally get it. Bai Ningbing laughed, that's right. I originally chose Ice Crystal Gu not because I was peeved but because Snow Fairy Gu changed the body to a snow fairy with clear appearance that could not be hidden. However, if I turn into Ice Crystal and use Ice Explosion Gu with it, it could form a majestic scene that is extremely similar to the self-destruction of Northern Dark Ice Soul physique. You have seen it just now, didn't it deceive you? If I was not concentrating on refining Gu, I would definitely discover the peculiarity. How could you have succeeded so easily then? Fong Yuan scoffed. Bai Ningbing, however, nodded her head with a serious expression, right. You are very meticulous, observing everything to the finest details. When I thought of this method, I also felt it would be strange and there would be a great chance of failure. In fact, there was a change in circumstances that made me almost give up this plan. The change Bai Ningbing spoke of was none other than Poison Vow Gu. A great man knows when to yield and when not. My objective was to rely on the Poison Vow to accomplish my goal. So what if I would be used for some time? Bai Ningbing's eyes turned vague as he recalled, however, the developments after that made me realize that Poison Vow Gu was not reliable. The poison vow between you and Xianxia, despite there being a very ingenious flaw, I felt that you were too confident. And I had also secretly investigated the contract with Bai Clan. The rumors however were still leaked out, making me feel even more uncertain. One thing that I have learned about you is that you make the best preparations for everything, calculating even the worst outcomes. Thus, I could not help but consider this situation. What if you were not restricted by Poison Vow Gu? What would I do then? I knew that if that was the case, I had already gotten into a desperate situation. I was restricted by the Poison Vow while you were not. I would become your chess piece which you could use or kill with no way for me to retaliate. Just relying on my own power, I would never be able to escape this predicament, but there was one person who could help me at Xianxia City. Speaking of this person, I still need to thank you for the introduction. Bai Ningbing smiled mockingly. He thought of the first meeting with Dr. Su Shou. It was during the banquet organized by Shang Yanfei. As thanks to Fang and Bai for escorting Xianxia to Xianxia City, Shang Yanfei invited Dr. Su Shou to treat Fong Yuan's disfigured face. And to make Bai Ningbing give up, Fong Yuan intentionally asked her to go together. After Bai Ningbing met Dr. Su Shou with her real appearance, Dr. Su Shou's attitude immediately changed into extreme warmth and compassion. Dr. Su Shou was one of the 4 great doctors of Southern Border and had a peculiarity of being attracted to appearance. She was extremely fond of handsome men and beautiful women. As long as their appearance was extraordinary, she would give treatment for free. If the appearance was ugly, she would loathe them and would not treat them even if they gave more money. Bai Ningbing asked her about the transformation of yin and yang, and with the reply he got, he was even more aware of how important the Yang Gu in Fang Yuan's possession was. But at the same time, Bai Ningbing also got to know Dr. Su Shou. Before leaving, Dr. Su Shou had made a serious promise that no matter what problems he faced, he could go find her. Cough cough. Fang Yuan coughed out a mouthful of blood. The ice blade had pierced through his heart, but with the help of healing goo, he was able to hang on to life. However, the chilly aura of the ice blade was slowing down the speed of his blood flow, and the numbness the cold brought was spreading to his whole body. Right now, however, these injuries were minor details. The person you are speaking, is it Dr. Su Shou? He, you are Fang Yuan indeed, you are right. Bai Ningbing praised. That be *tch. Fang Yuan cursed but also had new doubts, but didn't you guys only meet once? Wait, there was also the second time. Fang Yuan suddenly recalled something while talking. At Xianxia City, Bai Ningbing and Dr. Su Shou had met for a second time. That time was when Bai Ningbing lost to Yan Tu by just a little and suffered heavy injuries while also losing her vital goo. She went to Dr. Su Shou's place to receive treatment and to recuperate. Don't tell me. Fang Yuan seemed to have thought of something and his gaze immediately turned to Bai Ningbing as if it was the first time he was seeing this cold and handsome young man. Bai Ningbing smiled, his blue eyes shining eerily. It seems you have guessed it. That's right, I intentionally lost to Yan Tuesday. Losing a vital goo is nothing, exchanging it for a chance to evade your suspicions, isn't it a profitable transaction? At that time, I decided to gamble. Bai Ningbing went to Dr. Su Shou's place and relying just on his intuition, he decided to take a risk. He told the truth honestly to Dr. Su Shou. Dr. Su Shou sympathized with his experience and did her best to free him from Fang Yuan's demonic claws. Bai Ningbing asked her if there was a way to dispel poison vow. Dr. Su Shou replied that she could not dispel poison vow, but there was a way which could get rid of poison vow's binding. She recalled from her memories, once, when she was young and ignorant, she was deceived by her sex junior brother into using poison vow goo to make an oath saying they would never abandon each other. Later, she used this method to get rid of the poison vow. Bai Ningbing asked, what is it? Dr. Su Shou's gaze turned grave and said, to live, one must die. Once the poison vow activated, it would cause the death of the vow maker. Dr. Su Shou was a healing goo master and her solution was to intentionally let the poison vow activate and cause the goo master's death. The poison would be removed and then revive the goo master. This method is a forceful removal. The absolute majority of healing goo masters cannot do it even if they thought of it. I am able to barely accomplish it because of the unique legacy from my teacher. But even so, this has a 1 in 3 chance of failure. If it fails, it will mean death. Think it through. Dr. Su Shou gave a final warning. Bai Ningbing decided on the spot to use this method. With Dr. Su Shou's help, he got rid of the poison vow fortunately. Without the poison vow's binding, Bai Ningbing got in touch with Tai clan and Tai Ruanan was able to learn the truth. The truth that person in front of her was Fang Yuan and not Fang Zheng. At the same time, she also understood the event that occurred on Qing Mao Mountain. To deal with Fang Yuan, Bai Ningbing and Tai Ruanan launched a secret cooperation. We had used iron cabinet goo and chi flow goo around an area and planned to create the scene of the self-destruction. Unfortunately, you refused to rescue her. I could only gather a group and hurry to Sancha Mountain to make new plans. Tai Ruanan spoke. The scene of Bai Ningbing being trapped for so many days by Tai clans for old-timers looked like Tai clan's reprisal because of Bai Ningbing killing a Tai clan's goo master in the inheritance, but in truth, it was all a scheme to deal with Fang Yuan. However, Fang Yuan fought 1 against 7 and slaughtered Tai Ruanan's group which caused Tai Mu Bai to take the stage. Tai Ruanan received Tai Mu Bai's teachings, cultivating and patiently waiting for news from Bai Ningbing. This was also the reason why she did not take the initiative to look for Fang Yuan, although she had extreme hatred towards him. However, Fang Yuan made an impressive move that shook everybody. He took control of the whole situation after entering Three Kings' inheritance. Tai Mu Bai's death caused Bai Ningbing to keep silent and conceal himself even deeper. Using Fang Yuan's trust, he controlled the dog beasts. With the death of the land spirit, he was unable to suppress the situation anymore and the pressure on him increased. However, at the same time, he felt his whole body relaxed as he was free from the land spirit surveillance. He was still not at ease though, thus he intentionally gave way for Yan Jun to probe Fang Yuan. Sure enough, like he expected, Feng Tianyu was sent out. This proved the land spirit had truly died. Bai Ningbing was inwardly happy and again maneuvered the situation to make a way in for Tai Ruanan and Tai clans for old-timers. The reason Tai Ruanan came to the main hall by herself was also because of this. Fang Yuan, I advise you to obediently surrender. Outside, my Tai clan's enslavement path Grandmaster Tai Bai Chi is controlling the dog beasts and obstructing the group of experts. Outside the main hall, there are Tai clans for old-timers who are using Iron Cabinet Gu and Chi Flow Gu to confine the space so that no one can infiltrate here. Surrendering is your only way out. Tai Ruanan walked over and held the second aperture Gu in her hand while pronouncing Fang Yuan's fate. Fang Yuan was silent. Chapter 397, The Battle Has Just Begun. There are truly uncountable geniuses in this world. After being solemn for a while, Fang Yuan raised his head and sighed. Bai Ningbing, what a Bai Ningbing, he, I underestimated you, and fell victim to your schemes. It was a beautiful victory, your plan was flawless, while I was careless and overconfident, only thinking about the immortal Gu, allowing you to succeed, it was my mistake. I'm flattered. The reason I could plot against you was due to the perfect time, place and opportunity. If I were the one who had to refine an immortal Gu while scheming against both the righteous and demonic factions, I would definitely have done worse than you. Bai Ningbing answered seriously, but now at this point, winner takes all and the loser loses everything, I hope you would stop your pointless struggle. He. Fang Yuan sneered, the reason you have not killed me yet is because of the immortal Gu, you want to know its effects and also the immortal Gu recipe in my head. Now that the land spirit was dead, the blessed land was on the brink of destruction, there were loopholes everywhere and without the heavenly power to suppress them, Gu masters could use their Gu freely. That is to say, Fang Yuan just had to think about it, and all his Gu would self-detonate. Bai Ningbing and Tai Ruanan had no way to stop him. Tai Ruanan, Tai Mu Bai and the others died in my hands, you have to take this immortal Gu back to redeem yourself, otherwise you will lose your young master position. Fang Yuan laughed sinisterly. Tai Ruanan was expressionless, answering frankly, that's right, immortal Gu are unique, they are extremely important, when I bring it back it will be an unprecedented merit, I would receive the Tai clan Gu immortals a nurturing and reward. As for the recipe to refine immortal Gu, right now only you know about it, if I can contribute it to the clan, I would immediately become Tai clan young clan leader. When I ascend to the position of clan leader, I will be like Lord Tai Mu Bai, upholding justice and order. After all these things, I have learnt, to uphold justice, one needs to have great strength as well as a strong force. Only in this way can I repay Lord Tai Mu Bai's teachings, and allow him to feel at peace in the afterlife. Saying so, Tai Ruanan thought about the Tai clansman who died in Fang Yuan's hands, her eyes turning red as she felt intense fury and hatred, and also the great satisfaction of getting her revenge. She breathed in deeply, staring sharply at Fang Yuan, as for you, Gu Fang Yuan, I will not kill you. You were able to refine an immortal Gu using a mortal body, such refinement talent is truly spectacular. As long as you surrender, I will send you into the Tai Clan Demon Suppression Tower to undergo reform. In the future, when you turn over a new leaf, and leave the tower, you will work for Tai Clan, and contribute to the righteous path, repaying for your sins. This is the best outcome. Demon Suppression Tower. Fong Yuan squinted. You make it sound really nice. He, you want the immortal Gu? Sure, let's make a transaction. Fong Yuan talked about the details of the transaction as he focused on the movements outside the hall. He was stalling for time. In this situation, it may seem like a dead end, but he still had one final resort. Because of refining Gu, Fong Yuan's mind is tired and he had little primeval essence left. His rank 4 all-out effort Gu was not refined yet, and many beast phantoms were used up in the Gu refinement process. He could not force it now. Fong Yuan was not in the best condition, while Bai Ning Bing and Tai Ruanan came prepared. Furthermore, there are the 4 Tai Clan old-timers outside as well as Tai Bai Chi who manipulates dog groups. Spring-autumn Cicada was indeed the best chance he had, but it carried an enormous risk, and carried the danger of dying. Unless he had no other options, Fong Yuan did not want to use it yet. My true opportunity lies in the experts waiting outside the hall. With just the dog group and Tai Clan's 4 old-timers, they cannot block them all forever. As long as they fight their way in here, the situation would be completely overturned. Fate worked in mysterious ways. Not long ago, Fong Yuan was using all his methods to block the experts outside, but now he could not wish more for them to fight their way into the hall. This accursed Tai Clan, the mastermind is them all along. Tai Clan's old clan leader Tai Mu Bai came personally. What attracted him? We should have guessed. Tai Clan is a super clan, but don't think of devouring this alone. The immortal treasure belongs to all of us. In the intense battlefield, everyone was excited. Looking at the bronze hall, many Gu masters' eyes were burning with passion. The purple-colored light barrier covered the entire bronze hall. Tai Clan's 4 old-timers were at all 4 directions, guarding it securely. As for Tai Bai Chi, he was standing at the door of the hall, looking down at all the Gu masters as he manipulated the dog group. He was an old man, his head was full of white hair, and he had a third eye on his forehead, shining brightly. He was a rank 5 enslavement path Gu master, a Tai Clan elder, and was once Tai Mu Bai's capable general. Under Tai Mu Bai's orders, he came out of cultivation, coming to the faraway San Cha mountain. Right now, Tai Bai Chi was smiling as he looked at the battlefield. The dog group was under his command, unleashing several times the fighting strength they had compared to before. Tai Bai Chi did not mind the losses, blocking all the experts outside. This old fool is really irritating. Mo Wu Tian's hair was flying in the air as he breathed roughly. Before him, Dog Emperor Ba Huang was bathed in blood, in a condition worse than Mo Wu Tian. But soon, the healing Gu on it worked, and under the milky white colored light, it began to heal rapidly. Mo Wu Tian tried to attack while there was a chance, but a group of green Hua dogs charged in. This again. Mo Wu Tian gritted his teeth, forced to kill this group of reinforcements. While it had the chance, Ba Huang managed to heal most of its injuries and became revitalized again. Compared to the time Bai Ning Bing sent out the Dog Emperor and did not have the energy to control it, Tai Bai Chi had a much easier time. He manipulated the entire battlefield, and controlled the situation, showing the strength of the enslavement path fully. On the other hand, Xiao Mang was also receiving great attention from Tai Bai Chi. This won't do, the immortal treasure is going to be taken by Tai Clan. Xiao Mang was anxious and hateful, but Dog Emperor Ing Ming was blocking his path, not allowing him to pass through. Bastard, you forced me. Xiao Mang growled, flying into the sky. The sky already had one huge hole. tens of kilometers in diameter, as the outside showed the sky of the main world, full of clouds, and was a bright sunny day. Xiao Meng flew out of the hole, raising his hands. Rank 4, Gather Light Gu. Large amounts of sunlight gathered on his palms, the light turned into a ball, flawless and huge. Xiao Meng was like an ant carrying a huge rice bowl. Rank 5, Extreme Light Gu. The glorious light of the immemorial era gathered into the ball, and caused a qualitative change, as the entire ball was infected with the glory of the immemorial times. Rank 5, River Under the Sun Gu. The light ball exploded, turning into an overwhelming water of light. Each drop was like a fragment of the sun, extremely bright and dazzling. Killer Move, Torrential Light Stream. 1. The river of light rolled and crashed as it poured down on the blessed land from the hole. The light was blinding, and the waves were fierce. It turned the entire battlefield white, and everyone closed their eyes, unable to resist such a strong light. Oh no! Tai Bai Chi tried to stop it, but the light river's formation was already complete. He could only reduce its impact by a little. The Grand Light River was like a waterfall, crashing on the purple barrier. The barrier only lasted for a moment before shattering, as the 4 old-timers who sustained the barrier spurted out mouthfuls of blood, gravely injured. The light river broke the barrier and was weakened, but it continued on its way into the bronze hall. The hall was immediately broken through, and the waterfall swept towards Fang, Bai, and Tai. Bai Ningbing and Tai Ruanan's pupils shrunk as they subconsciously tried to dodge. Fang Yuan, who was waiting for an opportunity, immediately reacted and activated his primeval essence. Warp Gu. He activated this rank 5 movement Gu. This Gu was something he got from killing Choujiu the killer ghost doctor. With a swoosh, Fang Yuan vanished on the spot. The light river crashed on the floor, creating a huge hole that was about 2 meters deep. Tai and Bai dodged in time, standing at the edge of the huge hole, extremely calm. He escaped indeed, he. It seems he used Warp Gu. I think this Gu came from Killer Ghost Doctor. Tai Ruanan analyzed. We're letting him escape. Bai Ningbing looked at Tai Ruanan. You forgot about Fixed Star Gu. Don't worry, even if he escapes to the end of the world, Tai Clan's 4 old-timers would be able to arrest him. Let me roam around for now and expend his primeval essence and energy. It saves us some trouble. Tai Ruanan smiled lightly, her tone showing a confident attitude towards grasping the situation. After so many trials and difficulties, she had grown up a lot. Guh. Intense pain assaulted him as Fang Yuan vomited a mouthful of blood, feeling extremely dizzy. A sense of disgust almost caused him to fall face flat on the ground, feeling like his intestines were all jumbled up. Warp Gu was a space path Gu, tearing through space and transporting the Gu Master's body. The strong effect carried an equally intense backlash. Gu Masters who constantly use Warp Gu would have their tendons entangled, their blood would flow backwards, and their joints would be dislocated. On the outside, the Gu Master would get uglier and uglier. No matter how nice he looked originally, he would turn hideous. To use the Warp Gu, one had to use other Gu worms to modify his own body. But to Fang Yuan, he no longer cared. Second Aperture Gu will be kept safe by you guys for now. I will return this hatred a millionfold in the future. Fang Yuan quickly assessed his surroundings, realizing that although he was out of the hall, he was still a distance from the bronze hall. Large numbers of dogs came attacking, and he quickly chose to retreat. Although Second Aperture Gu was in Tai Ruanan's hands, the control was still in Fang Yuan's hands. He refined the Second Aperture Gu single-handedly. Now with just a thought, this Gu would self-detonate. Of course, unless left without a choice, Fang Yuan would not do something so stupid. This battle has just begun. By Ning Bing, Tai Ruanan, just you wait. He he he. Fang Yuan laughed sinisterly. To use second aperture Gu, immortal essence was needed, otherwise, an insane amount of primeval stones were needed to replace it. To Fang Yuan, he could not keep this Gu into his aperture. Spring-autumn Cicada's pressure was high enough, if he placed another immortal Gu in, Fang Yuan's aperture would explode. If an immortal Gu was outside the aperture, its aura would leak, and everyone would notice. If Fang Yuan took the immortal Gu and ran, he would become everyone's target, immediately being chased down by 2 rank 5, more than 10 rank 4, and countless rank 3 and 2 Gu masters. Tai Ruanan has the immortal Gu, she is definitely everyone's attack target. Hee, I'll let you guys compete while I watch on the sidelines, becoming the final winner in the end. Fang Yuan was resolved to retreat and recover his battle strength, before finding an opportunity to strike. But heaven did not side with him, as quickly, many Gu masters found out his movements and screamed. Who is it? Little Beast King, it seems he came out of the bronze hall. Quick, 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 block him. He must have gotten a portion of the treasure. The voices attracted people's attention, as Fang Yuan's surrounding Gu masters quickly turned around and attacked him. But the first who attacked were a small group of heavy Tai dogs. Not only was Fang Yuan obstructed by righteous and demonic Gu masters, he was also specially taken care of by Tai Bai Chi. Chapter 398, so close to success, yet it was all for naught. God damn it! Fang Yuan cursed, waving his hand and summoning a golden dragon. Golden Dragon roared as it turned these heavy Tai dogs into meat paste, paving a way for him to move. Little Beast King, where do you think you're going? Hand over the immortal treasure. Yi Chong rushed towards Fang Yuan, as the waves came crashing. Bone Wings Gu. Fang Yuan flapped his wings, avoiding the huge waves and flying into the sky. Little Beast King, just stay here. Yi Hua waved his hand and fire birds flew out towards Fang Yuan. Golden Aurora Gu. Fang Yuan's body was covered in a golden light as his speed increased, retreating quickly and leaving the fire birds behind. Oh! This huge change attracted Mo Wu Tian and Xiao Mang's attention. Xiao Mang shot out a giant hand of light, like a huge elephant, flying swiftly towards Fang Yuan trying to capture him. Fang Yuan turned at a sharp angle, narrowly avoided. But at this moment, there was a gentle sound near his ears. This sound was like a lover's whisper beside one's ear, or like the voice of one's loved ones, causing an unknowing person to feel deeply emotional and unable to focus. Mo Wu Tian's gentle feelings Gu. Fang Yuan quickly broke free of it after his shock, but his movement was slowed because of this, causing the giant light hand to catch up. Oh no! It was too late to dodge. Fang Yuan could only use his Gu worms to fight back, using offense as defense. Bam! The sound of a loud explosion, and the light hand was dispersed, while Fang Yuan flew in the air like a kite with its strings cut, landing towards the ground. The sound of the wind near his ears woke the unconscious Fang Yuan. Sensing that he was falling, he quickly activated his Gu worm while shouting, Tai Ruanan obtained a peerless immortal Gu, she is refining it now. Mo Wu Tian and Xiao Mang's attention were instantly diverted. Immortal Gu. Everyone went into a commotion as their enthusiasm surged, causing Tai Bai Chi's pressure to intensify. Fang Yuan caught his breath and quickly used Wu Gui's movement Gu. Large numbers of dark clouds appeared as he hid within, making his escape. But at this moment, swish 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 swish. In the air, 4 chains extended out of nowhere, swift as lightning and flexible like snakes, tying Feng Yuan's 4 limbs. Next, the chains tightened and coiled, spreading until Feng Yuan was tied up tightly, dragged into the void. The next moment, Feng Yuan reappeared in the bronze hall. Tai Clan's 4 old-timers were at the north, south, east, and west respectively, standing around him. They were half kneeling on the ground, their right palms facing forward while their left hand gripped their right hand, activating their gu worms together. On each of their right palms, a black steel chain was extending out. Tai Clan's 4 old-timers' killer move, Infinite Search and Lock. At this moment, in Central Continent, Tian Ti Mountain. In Hu Immortal Blessed Land, on top of Hun Dang Mountain, a competition that decided the Blessed Land's owner was at its final moments. Feng Zheng, hang in there, victory is within reach. Lord Sky Crane's voice came from within Feng Zheng. Compared to the start, he sounded extremely tired and weak. Yes, just one opponent left. Feng Zheng gritted his teeth, his body full of sweat as it swayed, hanging on with just his determination. The great Xiao Qi-Xing, was surpassed by a nobody. Xiao Qi-Xing's eyes were staring wide as he looked at Feng Zheng climb, at a height beyond him. Sigh, to think that it would end up like this. Yingxing Ji sighed, letting go and falling down the mountain. He was furthest from the peak, seeing Feng Zheng's performance, he knew he had no chance of winning, thus giving up immediately. Hu Immortal Land's spirit would not let him die of course, with a snap of her finger, Yingxing Ji was transported out of the Blessed Land. Climb, continue to climb. The skin on Feng Zheng's arms and legs were torn, as blood flowed down. The closer he was to the peak, the greater the vibration shocks on the soul. Feng Zheng was almost unable to think of anything, there was only the mountain peak left in his mind, as his entire potential was squeezed out, he was extremely tired, and this had greatly exceeded the limits of his body. This lad. Feng Jin Huang was moved. Feng Zheng was obviously exhausted beyond belief, yet he seemed to have some sort of limitless energy sustaining him. Mountain peak, mountain peak. Feng Zheng gritted his teeth, with only one thought in his mind. He climbed step by step, surpassing Feng Jin Huang in taking the lead. At this moment, he was only less than a meter from the mountain peak. Even the cute and tiny land spirit was standing at the edge of the cliff, looking down and watching the birth of her new owner. Outside the Blessed Land, some Gu masters who were watching started to sigh. Congrats to you, He Feng Yang, this time your immortal crane sect performed the best. Humph, if my rank 6 exquisite warp Gu was still around. Or maybe Star Shuttle Gu, fixed immortal travel Gu, or one's own movement Gu, the results would be different. The Gu immortals had differing attitudes, some were congratulating while others were sighing in pity. We were lucky, just lucky. He Feng Yang was modest but his tone could not conceal his joy. But at this moment, a Gu immortal sneered, He Feng Yang, you are going to be disappointed. This Hu immortal inheritance belongs to us Spirit Affinity House. As the immortal spoke, a change occurred in the Blessed Land. Feng Jin Huang shouted, and a beautiful pair of wings grew from her shoulders. This pair of wings was extremely elegant and beautiful, all sorts of lights shone on it, it was dazzling and alluring, with just one flap, Feng Jin Huang ascended easily. What? This is the legendary immortal Gu, Dream Wings. Dream Wings was a special immortal Gu, it did not exist in the real world, but only appeared in dreams. Activating it did not require immortal essence, but the Gu master's spirit and soul instead. Feng Jin Huang was only immortal, activating the Dream Wings forcefully would cause severe damage to her soul, amnesia at best, becoming mentally retarded at worst. But the proud her had never suffered defeat since her birth. She could not allow Fang Zheng to be the sole winner right before her eyes. Even if I have to pay the heaviest price, I have to attain victory. Under Fang Zheng's shocked expression, Feng Jin Huang flew up quickly, easily surpassing him and claiming the lead once again. The dream wings were folded back as Feng Jin Huang stood at the side of the cliff, breathing heavily. She felt a strong dizziness from the depths of her soul, almost causing her to faint. She reached her limits. Forcefully activating an immortal Gu, it was not easy for Feng Jin Huang to reach this step. I actually lost. Fang Zheng stared with wide-opened eyes, dejected and upset. At this moment, Feng Jin Huang was so close to the peak. In fact, her arms were already at the edge of the peak. She was one step away. I am about to win. At this moment, Feng Jin Huang forced herself to raise her head, using the last bit of strength she had. Her eyes were glowing like amber, her beautiful appearance and her snow-white long neck was shining like jade in the blessed land's pink light. She was like a young phoenix, expanding its wings for the first time. Brilliant and glorious. At once, even Gu immortals were dazed. She bit her lips, placing her arms at the edge of the cliff. Next, she used her remaining strength to drag her body up as well. At the end, she rolled onto the mountain peak. She succeeded. The sole winner of this competition, the new owner of the Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Southern border, Sancha Mountain, Bronze Hall. Fang Yuan was tied up by the chains. He, Fang Yuan, we meet again. Tai Ruanan stood before Fang Yuan, laughed heartily. Bai Ningbing sighed, it is no use, Fang Yuan, I secretly planted the fixed star Gu in your left arm. With this Gu to locate you, the infinite search and lock can catch you no matter where you go, even if you escape to the edge of the world, we can still bring you back. You have lost, admit it. What? Fang Yuan lowered his head, seeing that there was a Gu on his left arm. This Gu was a star fragment of the immemorial era. It was 8-sided and crystal clear, giving off starlight at times, causing Fang Yuan's forearm to shine with a transparent eerie blue light. Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan howled, struggling frantically, causing the chains to make a loud clank sound. In his past life, Tai Clan's 4 old-timers used this killer move to capture Kong Ri Tian. To think that in this life, the same move would be used on him. Before, when Bai Ningbing was trapped by the 4 old-timers, Fang Yuan did not help her immediately. He was wary of this infinite search and lock. Once he was locked on by this Gu, no matter where Fang Yuan escaped, the chains would extend from the void to capture him. But without the fixed star Gu, infinite search and lock would be like a headless chicken, not a threat at all. This fixed star Gu was given to me by the 4 old-timers personally, and I even spent a long time training to use it. Do you know when I planted it? It was when you injected yellow gold primeval essence to nurture my aperture. You had absolutely no idea, huh? Bai Ningbing's eyes were shining with cold mockery. This move was truly nailing the problem at its roots, crushing Fang Yuan's hopes of a reversal. Fixed star Gu, good, Bai Ningbing, you are too good. Fang Yuan stared at Bai Ningbing, gritting his teeth. Tai Ruanan continued to urge, Fang Yuan, you have been locked on by infinite search and lock, you Gu worms have already been sealed and you cannot even use your primeval essence. You have no hope left. Of course you can still will your Gu worms to self-detonate, but I would advise you not to do that. You are a smart person, you should know which option benefits you the most, right? Fang Yuan lowered his head, silent. Earlier, he had activated his Gu worms furiously, but infinite search and lock was famous for a reason. It was both a space path and seal path killer move. Even the rank 5 warp Gu was sealed, unable to be used. It has ended, Fang Yuan. Demon Suppression Tower is your final resting place. You will spend the rest of your life there. Bai Ningbing sighed, seeing his mortal enemy captured. He felt extremely complicated, feeling both joy and sorrow. Throughout these years, thank you for the excitement you have brought to my life. Because of your existence, it lightened up this lonely life of mine, and I became less lonely and bored. Next, I will have an even more exciting life, and you should be honored that you have been a part of it. Saying so, Bai Ningbing paid respects to Fang Yuan in an earnest and sincere expression. Chapter 399, Spring-Autumn Cicada. Fang Yuan raised his head, looking at the sky beyond the bronze hall. There was a huge hole in the blessed land's sky, connecting to the outside world. From Fang Yuan's angle, he could see the sun of southern border. The sun was setting, it was near dusk. 5:45 p.m., at this time, Feng Jin Huang should have just inherited Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Fang Yuan thought. In his previous life, he worked with demonic Gu immortals, attacking Hu Immortal Blessed Land and taking over Dang Hun Mountain. In the end he paid a huge price, killing Feng Jin Huang and narrowly surviving. After Feng Jin Huang died, the righteous path grieved, writing the biography of Feng Jin Huang. The biography listed all the things she achieved in life, and Feng Jin Huang had 3 great opportunities in life. Her first encounter was when she was 3 years old. When she was sleeping, she obtained the immortal Gu dream wings in her dreams. The second opportunity was Hu Immortal Blessed Land. On this day, at 5:30 p.m., she successfully ascended the mountain. Feng Jin Huang has the immortal Gu dream wings. The Hu immortal inheritance is definitely hers to take. To not give her such a huge lead, I need the second aperture Gu. Unfortunately, my efforts were in vain. He sighed in his heart, but his dazed expression suddenly became resolute again. He had a chance to reverse the situation, he had not lost yet. That is because, he had Spring-Autumn Cicada. Infinite Search and Lock could seal rank 5 Gu, but it could not restrict rank 6 Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan raised his head, taking a final look at Bai Ningbing and the others. There was nothing to say, this time, there was hope if he succeeded, and nothing to say if he failed. How can he be so calm? Bai Ningbing, Tai Ruanan and the others felt something amiss. Bam! Fang Yuan self-detonated. At that moment, Spring-Autumn Cicada burst out in 2 lights, green and orange, as a mystical and profound aura spread out. All of Fang Yuan's Gu worms, all his primeval essence, all his flesh and soul, all detonated. Every use of the Spring-Autumn Cicada was a great gamble. Fang Yuan was at a dead end, he bet on everything he had. After self-detonating, all the energy was injected into the Spring-Autumn Cicada. Spring-Autumn Cicada turned into a brilliant dot, carrying Fang Yuan's remaining will and tore through space, entering the most famous forbidden ground in this world, the River of Time. The Gu world had southern border, northern plains, western desert, eastern seas, and central continent. There was also one river of time, connecting past, present, and future, that was time itself. Space and time were the basis that constructed the world. Swish swish swish. The river water in the river of time ebbed and flowed, crashing like waves. Every drop of the water of time was pale white, but over a gazillion droplets of water crashed, intertwined, collided, and spun each time, giving off a brilliant light show. In this desolate and plentiful river water, Spring-Autumn Cicada was like a roaming traveler returning home, its wings flapped as it carried Fang Yuan's consciousness and moved against the flow. To Fang Yuan, this was the 3rd time he used Spring-Autumn Cicada. The first time, he entered the river of time without any experience. The second time, he was forced to self-detonate, there was too little time. This time, he was mentally prepared, and finally experienced the feeling of going against the tides. This feeling was so mystical and incredible. Countless light shadows, like a movie playing in reverse, appeared in his consciousness. It felt like a second passed, but it also felt like years had passed. The dangerous waves came crashing each time. Spring-autumn cicada quickly lost its stamina, and the energy from self-detonating was expended. It struggled and jumped into one of the droplets, vanishing. Fang Yuan blinked, and the image before him had changed. Hold on, all can be negotiated. I can promise to tell you the true path, but you must ensure my safety. I have a poison vow Gu. Fang Yuan heard a familiar voice begging for his life. He looked down and saw Wang Xiao. He was stunned, as his heart pounded, his expression changed as he revealed an unconcealed joy. Ha ha ha, I succeeded again, I won the bet, I managed to rebirth. Fang Yuan spread his arms, laughing loudly. Wang Xiao. Fang Yuan's sudden performance caused him to feel shocked and suspicious. What rebirth? What succeeded? Is this guy mentally unsound? But honestly, there are lots of crazy demonic path Gu masters. Damn it, I encountered such a maniac. Being stepped on by Fang Yuan, Wang Xiao who was lying on the ground thought about this and begged even louder. Ha ha ha. Fang Yuan's laughter continued. This feeling of escaping from a hopeless scenario and restarting once again was simply too good. He felt great. He first inspected his aperture. In the aperture, his vital Gu spring-autumn cicada was extremely weak once again. Its lustrous body had turned into wilting autumn leaves. Fang Yuan willed, and spring-autumn cicada hid its body, entering a deep sleep, regaining its strength through the river of time. This way, the threat spring-autumn cicada has been alleviated. Fang Yuan laughed even louder, his eyes shining brightly. He looked around again. This was evidently still the blessed land. He was stepping on Wang Xiao, and there was a corpse beside him. It was Yun Clan's young clan leader Yun Luo Tian. He was killed by Bai Ningbing, and his corpse was sent over by expending immortal essence. Thinking of Bai Ningbing, Fang Yuan's laughter stopped, unable to laugh anymore. It was this guy, planning for so long and finally betrayed him, causing Fang Yuan to fail even though he succeeded in refining second aperture Gu, falling into deep despair. If not for spring-autumn cicada and his good luck, Fang Yuan would have completely lost. Regardless of death or captivity in Demon Suppression Tower, he would have no opportunities left in life. Demonic path was like this, it was like walking on tightrope, one step was all it takes for destruction. Falling into the abyss, with no hopes of ever getting back up. I was simply too careless, thinking about Feng Jin Huang and wanting to refine an immortal Gu, I ignored the true demon that was hiding near me. But this Bai Ningbing's acting was also convincing, planning for so many years, working so hard to numb my senses, and then giving me the final blow. Heh, I am still a mortal, I am not an invincible god. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan's mouth was bitter. Fang Yuan was improving and growing ferociously, Bai Ningbing was the same. This was the harshness of reality, and also the beauty of fate. In this world, everyone was a main character, but everyone was also a side character. Everyone has their own advantages. Bai Ningbing has the northern dark ice soul physique, Tai Ruanan has her Tai clan background, Feng Jin Huang gained an immortal Gu in her dreams when she was 3 years old. As for me, I struggled for hundreds of years, cultivating bitterly until I refined the spring-autumn cicada. Fang Yuan thought about this, and his emotions surged again. He smiled brilliantly and recited. Viewing thousands of mountains in deep crimson. Layers of trees dyed red. On the limpid blue water. Hundreds of barges race against currents. Hawks spread their wings in the vast sky. Fish swim freely under deep water. All living things vie for freedom under the autumn sky. Pondering over the immensity of the universe, I ask this boundless and misty earth. Who rules the fate of this world? If heavens had emotions it would grow old, the great Tao is emotionless and impartial. Every living being has the chance to rise up, it depends on how one uses their opportunities, and how one fights. In this world, no one is born to be a side character. And there is no one who is an eternal main character. Living beings compete, the weak are eliminated. Precisely because of the heroes competing in this world, facing off with their respective strengths and trump cards, can history be so immense and interesting, making the world such a mystical place. Thinking so, the bitterness, hatred, shock, grief and joy vanished in Fang Yuan like a trace of smoke. His heart was clear, his demonic resolution shone deeply in his eyes. He started to think calmly. So I rebirthed at this time. According to my previous life's development, I grilled Wang Xiao regarding the path towards Wu Mountain, but he did not tell me even after dying. I had no choice and had to kill him, using the beast strength placenta Gu to devour his and Yun Luo Tian's apertures. Fang Yuan was solemn, his expression like ice, as he recalled in his mind what was about to happen. Next, I spent a lot of effort, exposing the spring-autumn cicada to convince the land spirit. Next, I killed killer ghost Dr. Choujiu, Wu Shentong, and Zhang San San. I unexpectedly obtained a slavery Gu from Zhang San San, and was about to continue killing people when an accident occurred. I had no choice but to interfere and kill Long Qing Tian, but because of the Jade Sky Gu poison, I had no gains. Next, I refined Gu, defended the hall, and got betrayed by Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan's mind worked like lightning, almost instantly recalling the previous life as his eyes squinted into a line, subconsciously clenching his fists tightly. The situation is really perilous. With his rebirth, Fang Yuan looked at the situation clear as day, his previous life's carelessness became this life's alertness. Firstly, Bai Ningbing already knows about the details regarding the refinement of the immortal Gu. She had secretly cooperated with Tai Roanan. Tai clan had to be prepared long ago, that Tai Baichi might have already hidden himself in Sancha Mountain, ready to strike at any moment. The enemy is hidden while I am exposed, this is not good. Next, during the last few days of refinement, Xiao Mang would arrive here. The unexpected Mo Wu Tian would also join in with his new rank 5 cultivation. In his previous life, Fang Yuan killed several demonic heads, causing the demonic faction to have no leader. Mo Wu Tian's arrival easily overturned that as he gathered the demonic path strength using his rank 5 cultivation. It could be said that because of him, it hastened the outside experts' attack on the hall. The enemy is strong while I am weak, that is even worse. Lastly, the most severe point. Fang Yuan raised his left arm. In his previous life, he was kept in the dark, but now he knew, Bai Ningbing had secretly planted the fixed star Gu on him, on this forearm. Once the Tai clans for old-timers used the infinite search and lock, he would have no way to escape, captured even if he ran to the edge of the world. Now that I think about it, Tai clan did not move earlier because first, I killed Tai Mu Bai, and that situation greatly exceeded their expectations. Secondly, they want to reap the benefits from others' conflict, attaining the fruits of victory without loss. Thirdly, they are extremely vigilant. Although infinite search and lock can restrict rank 5 Gu worms, it could be resisted in other ways. What if they arrested me but did not find the Yang Gu? Thus because of this, they kept it as a final trump card. Fixed star Gu was secretly planted, Fang Yuan was now like a fish in the net, he could not escape. It was almost a hopeless situation. Chapter 400, Life is but a few hundred years, it is all a grand gamble. Fixed Star Gu, this is like a rope tied around my neck. Although I have methods to get rid of it, I need a lot of time to prepare. If I want to immediately get rid of the Fixed Star Gu, unless Bai Ningbing took it back personally, otherwise, I can also chop off my left forearm. Fang Yuan's heart was burning with this urge. Fixed Star Gu was hiding in Fang Yuan's forearm. Once he discarded his forearm, Tai Clan's 4 old-timers would only be able to retrieve his broken limb. If he did that, Fang Yuan would lose a limb. He would have to treat it in the future, making a broken limb grow back, creating something from nothing. It would spend a lot of effort. Not mentioning how troublesome healing would be, the thing now was once he loses his left arm, it would be alerting his enemies. Tai Clan and Bai Ningbing would immediately realize that Fang Yuan knew what was going on, and would immediately start their attacks. That way, the attackers of the main hall would also include Tai Clan and Bai Ningbing. To Fang Yuan, such a situation was worse than the previous life. I cannot alert them prematurely. I was lucky to rebirth. Compared to last time, my only advantage is that I know what is going to happen. I have to go with the flow, since Tai Clan and Bai Ningbing are still usable to me now. Once I lose my arm, not only would Tai Clan be forced to go against me, the situation will also change, and derail from the tracks of my previous life. I would lose my rebirth advantage completely. But if he did not get rid of his arm, how would he get out of this situation, and counterattack under such dire circumstances? Fang Yuan pondered. All sorts of people, incidents, cause and effect flickered in his mind. Wang Xiao, Chou Jiu, Wu Shentong, Zhang San San, Long Qing Tian, Xiao Mang, Tai Ruanan, Bai Ningbing, Mo Wu Tian, Yan Jun, Feng Tian Yu. Slavery Gu, Jade Sky Gu Poison, Land Spirit, Bronze Hall, Immortal Essence, Fixed Star Gu, Second Aperture Gu, Undefeated 100 Battles Gu. Numerous choices give birth to unlimited possibilities. Infinite possibilities affect each other. Fang Yuan's mind worked rapidly. All sorts of inspiration and scenarios happened in his head like lighting a flint in the darkness. What should he do to protect himself, while maintaining the biggest benefits? He thought and thought, expending his mental energy. In just a little bit of time, his ears were buzzing. Wait! Suddenly, Fang Yuan's body shook. Maybe, take a step backwards, and the sea and sky becomes wider. Should I consider this from a wider perspective? An absurd thought appeared in this head. No way, if I do this, the risks are greater. He shook his head, muttering as he denied this idea. But this thought was rooted in his head, it continued to influence him. If I do this and manage to succeed, my gains will be overwhelming. Fang Yuan's eyes shone brilliantly. But the next moment, he shook his head again. If there is even an inch of calculation mistake in this plan, I will be completely finished. The consequences would be worse than falling into Tai Ruanan's hands. The spring-autumn cicada has already been used. I cannot use rebirth again for a while. As he thought, Fang Yuan's gaze became solemn and deep. Suddenly, he laughed lightly. To think that I, a great demonic leader in my time, am being so careful and worried now, afraid to execute my plans. As long as there is hope, I should be brave enough to do it. Only an overwhelming benefit can cause me to go forward relentlessly. Fortune and risks come together. Why should I go slow and steady to build my foundation? I want to ascend to heaven in one step. That's right, this is the plan. Death without a proper burial if I fail, fly into the sky like a dragon if I succeed, and pave the way for my future plans. He, ha ha ha, life is but a few hundred years, it is all a grand gamble. Little Beast King, don't be rash, we can talk this out. You want the path into Wu Mountain, we can negotiate this, it can be discussed. Wang Xiao underneath his feet begged. Fang Yuan laughed at times, remained solemn at times, frowned at times, and went back to laughing happily at times. He scared this rank 5 Gu master, the lord of Wu Mountain, a great demonic expert, to death. In Wang Zhao's heart, Fang Yuan was a maniac, a mentally ill person. Demonic path is extreme, without a clan's support, cultivation is difficult. At times they struggled at death's door, they face great mental pressure. It is not uncommon for demonic Gu masters to develop mental illnesses. Especially when Fang Yuan talked to himself sometimes, or even made poems for himself, it intensified Wang Zhao's worries. Against a normal person, he had his ways to deal with them. But dealing with a madman, even a Gu immortal, has no confidence. Oh. You plan to tell me Wu Mountain's entrance? Fang Yuan frowned, looking at Wang Zhao. Of course, but you have to let me off. Wang Zhao saw a reaction from Fang Yuan and shouted anxiously. Humph. Fang Yuan's gaze became sharp, pressing with his feet, and with a crack, Wang Zhao's head was smashed to bits. Wang Zhao was a great expert, devious and cruel, cold and emotionless. To get him to say the correct entrance into Wu Mountain, Zhang Sansan's rank 5 slavery Gu was needed. But in Fang Yuan's new plan, Wang Zhao had been discarded. There is no need to waste time talking to him, thus he was directly killed. A pity for Wang Zhao, the lord of Wu Mountain, yet he died so pathetically in Fang Yuan's hands. After killing Wang Zhao, Fang Yuan took his Gu and used beast strength placenta Gu, devouring his and Yun Luo Tian's apertures. This way, beast strength placenta Gu's aptitude is 83%. In terms of immortal essence, we spent a little bit more than expected, slightly exceeding 2 portions. Ba Gui, you want me to stop? Fang Yuan suddenly said. Land spirit, eh? How did you know my thought? Of course I know. Fang Yuan snorted, leaking the spring-autumn cicada's aura. Ba Gui, have a feel, what do you think this is? The land spirit was speechless. This is the aura of a rank 6 immortal Gu. It seems to be the spring-autumn cicada. Spring-autumn cicada is the 7th mysterious Gu in this world. You are a mere mortal, how can you possess such an immortal Gu? In his past life, Fang Yuan spent a lot of time talking to Ba Gui, eventually failing to convince it, thus gambling and revealing his greatest trump card, convincing the land spirit. This time, Fang Yuan revealed spring-autumn cicada's aura from the start and went straight to the point. Ba Gui, I will not lie to you, I am a future Gu immortal, using the spring-autumn cicada to rebirth myself into the past. What? Land spirit was shocked beyond words, the information was too great, it could not accept it so readily. Fang Yuan's expression was arrogant, I came back from the future, I know everything. Ba Gui, I am your next master, I succeeded in refining the 2nd aperture Gu in my previous life. Fang Yuan spoke. In his last life, he convinced the land spirit, but now, he had the knowledge of the future, as well as the experience of refining 2nd aperture Gu as evidence, the land spirit was quickly convinced. Young man, you really are my future master. Listening to your words, it seems you really succeeded in refining 2nd aperture Gu. Regardless of whether you are lying to me, I am exhilarated. Because this means the success of 2nd aperture Gu has been raised by 30%. Land spirit said happily. Enough trash talk, Ba Gui, I came from the future, know the dangers that are lurking. First, I need to kill a person. A moment later, Long Qing Tian died by Fang Yuan's hands. In his last life, this Long Qing Tian went into a weakened land and used the Jade Sky Gu, poisoning the blessed land and forming a loophole, causing great damage to the blessed land, and also causing Fang Yuan a lot of trouble. This time, Fang Yuan struck immediately after rebirth. Before Long Qing Tian entered that weakened area, he used the heavenly power to restrict him and easily killed him. Young man, I am starting to believe you. You killed a dangerous threat prematurely. Sigh, the three kings modified the blessed land, my control over this land is not strong anymore. You could sense this danger and have the spring-autumn cicada, you really came from the future. Land Spirit exclaimed. Fang Yuan sighed, Land Spirit was old and dying, it was like a dying old man, it could not compare to a young land spirit. For example, it could not even detect the fixed star Gu on Fang Yuan's arm. Fang Yuan did not waste time with the land spirit, he worked quickly, taking Long Qing Tian's Gu worms and devoured his aperture. In his previous life, because of the Jade Sky Gu poison, Fang Yuan could not take the battle loot after killing Long Qing Tian. But this time, he acted early and Long Qing Tian could not use his Gu, thus Fang Yuan had no restrictions. After looting Long Qing Tian, Fang Yuan gained several useful things. Other than the aperture, his greatest loot was Jade Sky Gu. This Gu was like a dark green bamboo stem, palm-sized and hollow in the middle, it gave off a smooth texture when held in one's hands, like a piece of jade. Rank 5 Jade Sky Gu originated from the immemorial era, it was extremely rare now. It had an extremely strong poison and there was barely any ways to deal with it, it could easily poison a person to death, causing them to fade into a green light. This Gu had great use, Fang Yuan kept it carefully. By Gue, quickly transfer me to this place. The next moment, Fang Yuan appeared in front of the demonic enslavement path master, Zhang San. Zhang San had not even reacted before Fang Yuan attacked, ending his life. Fang Yuan killed and plundered the aperture, it was the same thing again, causing the beast strength placenta Gu's aptitude to rise again. Zhang San was a rank 4 Gu master, but had a rank 5 slavery Gu. Fang Yuan's greatest motive for killing him was this Gu. With another flash, Fang Yuan appeared in front of killer ghost Dr. Choujiu. Little beast king. How did you? Choujiu saw Fang Yuan and was taken aback, his expression extremely shocked. Fang Yuan's expression was plain as he used the rank 5 slavery Gu. The slavery Gu exploded into a yellow light, landing on Choujiu. Choujiu shouted, F***CK. Rank 5 slavery Gu. You can kill me but not humiliate me, you want to enslave me, you are dreaming. He did not know that in the previous life, he begged Fang Yuan to use slavery Gu. With the land spirit to suppress him, Choujiu could not use Gu worms, the slavery Gu was easily planted on him. But to control a rank 5 Gu master, it was not so easy, it was a contest of souls. Choujiu resisted with all his strength, Fang Yuan's soul trembled as he entered a stalemate. Choujiu sneered, his forehead full of sweat, little beast king, you are too naive. For an enslavement path Gu master, the soul's foundation is most important, the higher the better. It is not easy to control wild beasts, not to mention men. Man is the spirit of all beings, you want to control me who is a rank higher, it is wishful thinking, hee. Choujiu screamed in pain, as his smug laughter was terminated by Fang Yuan's slap. With this interference, the contest of souls tilted towards Fang Yuan's advantage, as the yellow light merged into his body. As long as it is fully merged, Choujiu would become Fang Yuan's most loyal slave.